It's Thursday, April 3rd.
The series of measures will directly affect millions of Canadians.
Exempt but not unaffected. Canada not on the reciprocal tariffs list, but our country will still feel the effects and impact from this escalation of U.S. President Trump's trade war.
I'm very, very grateful, and I really believe in building.
A sigh of relief for now. Canada's premier sharing their thoughts after learning Canada has been spared from Trump's reciprocal tariffs. They're going to meet with the Prime Minister later this morning.
We must be an economic fortress that can defend itself.
In this difficult storm, we got to look out for one another. That's a Canadian value.
As U.S. tariffs cast a shadow over the campaign trail, party leaders are laying out their plans to protect Canadians.
You know what? This is what we signed up for living in Canada, and we just have to really appreciate that we know that this is short term and hopefully that there's going to be some great weather this summer.
That's the spirit. Some more wild weather in parts of Ontario as crews are still working to clean up from last week's ice storm. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Good morning, Canada. Welcome to Your Morning. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
Good morning. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
I'm Kelsey McEwen. Hope your Thursday's off to a great start.
What was that yesterday?
It was everything.
I'm talking about the weather, like looking outside, like living my life, and then looking outside, and it's a full-on blizzard.
I know. Well, I said yesterday, I was like, it's going to be snow, ice pellets, freezing rain, then rain and thunderstorms, and then today 18 degrees. And I don't think anyone believed me.
Well, so Lindsey and I actually had this conversation. We happened to be at the same place at the same time yesterday afternoon, and we were looking out the window, and you can see the swirl of snow and ice, like living in a snow globe. And I was I'm pretty sure Kelsey told us about this verbally and in email, but I didn't imagine it looking and feeling like this.
Because, like, who would have thought it would be like that? Even I pick up yesterday, getting hit by ice pellets very aggressively, was like, I don't like this.
I know. I had to, from the building we were at to the parkade, I had to walk. I actually had to duck into a store because I could not see. Because the ice is hitting your face and the wind is so strong. And then I was just drenched.
So when I walked out of that building, I started going, no. I said no to nobody until I got to my car, and then I got in, I'm like, no, I'm done.
I know.
Done.
But 17 degrees, and at least in this area today.
Yeah, it's going to be very warm. Windy, but very warm. We'll talk, obviously, about that in weather coming up.
All right, the other big story we're talking about, of course, tariffs. So Canada is not on the long list of countries being hit by U.S. reciprocal tariffs, but Canada will still feel the impact.
We are going to fight these tariffs with countermeasures. We are going to protect our workers, and we are going to build the strongest economy.
The 25% auto tariff announced by U.S. President Donald Trump is now in effect. The tariff on steel, aluminum remains in place, steel and aluminum, as does the tariff on Canadian goods not compliant with CUSMA. Prime Minister Mark Carney also warns there could be tariffs coming on strategic sectors like pharmaceuticals and lumber. Prime Minister Carney did not get a heads up from the U.S. president before the announcement yesterday afternoon.
We will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us.
So there's the tariff list. This tariff list released by the U.S. includes more than 180 countries, but Canada is not on that list. Neither is Mexico. Most countries are being hit with a 10% baseline tariff. Some are facing significantly higher numbers. President Trump says there will be some short-term pain, but he says the tariffs will bring jobs and manufacturing back to the U.S. Meanwhile, that auto tariff that's now in effect, it is already impacting jobs. Unifor told its members, word came down last night that the Stellantis Windsor assembly plant is shutting down for 2 weeks. The shutdown is scheduled to start on April the 7th. Unifor is also warning members more scheduled changes are expected. Auto workers across the country are feeling uncertain with the new tariffs now in place.
You could feel that there's a lot of stress going on inside the facility. A lot of people are very uncertain with the way things are and don't know if they're going to have a job, like, literally tomorrow.
Canada's auto industry employs more than 120,000 people, with about 460,000 people working in related industries. Products that are compliant with CUSMA are exempt for now. However, there is concern that President Trump will move forward with tariffs on automotive parts in the next couple of weeks.
It's kind of a bad feeling because it all depends of one man and the way he see things.
The news that President Trump isn't targeting Canada's steel and aluminum industry with additional tariffs is not bringing much relief to people working in the heart of North America's aluminum industry. Small and medium-sized businesses in the Saguenay region in Quebec have already had layoffs since the 25% tariff on their products kicked in on March the 12th. The biggest companies are now trying to sort out how long they can continue to operate with these tariffs in place. Canada's premiers will meet with Prime Minister Mark Carney this morning to chart their next move after Trump's sweeping tariff announcement.
The positive thing that I saw was we weren't on that list. We weren't on page 1, we weren't on page 2, we weren't on page 3, and ourselves and Mexico. So we're going to stay tuned.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says he's grateful Canada has been left off the list from Trump's round of tariffs. Doug Ford says his focus for now is on building relationships and always communicating, he says, with the White House.
Even though we don't see new tariffs on Canada today, that uncertainty hasn't gone away. You don't treat your neighbors like this. We know that these tariffs, these unnecessary taxes, end badly for both of our countries.
New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt says the ongoing uncertainty caused by the tariffs is causing economic pain in the province. Premier Holt says 92% of New Brunswick's exports go to the U.S., 92%, and that there has been a slowdown in trade between the two sides.
We don't have any tariffs on their oil and gas.
Meanwhile, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is declaring victory for Canada. The Premier released a statement that says, quote, "It seems the worst of this tariff dispute is behind us," and praising diplomacy and persuasion as the most effective tool for dealing with the trade war. However, some experts are saying there are just too many unanswered questions at this point. Turning to the campaign trail, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre called the U.S. auto tariffs, quote,
Now President Trump is going after our auto workers. After, for decades, workers on both sides of the border locked arms to build the greatest auto sector in the world.
At an earlier campaign stop yesterday, Poilievre said as Prime Minister he would negotiate a new trade deal to replace CUSMA.
We will not compromise. We will not back down. We will not give up, and we will win this fight.
Campaigning in Winnipeg yesterday, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh promised to protect Canadian jobs in healthcare. Today, Jagmeet Singh will announce what he calls nation-building wartime measures to Trump-proof Canada. Liberal leader Mark Carney wasn't on the campaign trail yesterday, but the party did release a statement vowing to keep supply management off the table in any trade talks with the U.S. Other news, there is some weather warnings and watches are lifting in Ontario this morning after another day of wild spring weather.
I'm a summer person. I hate this. Hot, cold, warm. You don't even know what jacket to put on.
That is everybody. Southern and Eastern Ontario have pretty much seen, I don't know, every type of weather in the past 24 hours, and now we'll enjoy temperatures in the teens today. So weird. Some parts of the province received 50 millimeters of rain. Cleanup from the ice storms, that's still going on. Nearly 197,000 customers still in the dark. Many people would have lost power, Saturday night in some of the hardest hit spots.